country is going in the wrong direction, and so wrong, and it's got to be stopped, and it's got to be stopped fast. We can't go another 4 years. I know that maybe Hillary will be here, and if she is, you can play this back. We can't have another 4 years of Barack Obama. We can't have another 4 years of Hillary Clinton.
If there is one thing Donald Trump doesn't fear, it's taking a gamble in front of a live audience. Monday, he took the road show to Liberty University, the place where closest rival Ted Cruz launched his campaign, seeking to captivate and capture those same evangelicals that seem to be completely enamored with the Texas governor, or senator, I should say. But with every gamble, does Trump come one step closer to a momentary foot and mouth that will cost him, or is that just wishful thinking of those still being buried under the weight of the various poll numbers? All right, let the political animal begin there and let the political fur fly. Start with the man who has worked for a pair of Democratic senators in the past and thus knows the Beltway layout inside and out. Current contributor at The Hill, Brent Budowsky, joined by staff writer at the Federalist with her work syndicated across the vast internet sphere, Bre Payton. I want to thank you both for joining us. And Bre, I'm going to go ahead and begin with you on this one. Donald Trump goes to Liberty, wants the evangelical vote. But does Donald Trump embody the values that evangelicals will vote for?
You know, I'm not sure about that. And I think during the last Republican debate, you know, when Ted Cruz kind of slammed Donald Trump a little bit about having New York values, I think he did have a little bit of a point. And I think, you know, the speech that he made today at Liberty, in which he tried to make a Bible reference and said 2 Corinthians instead of 2 Corinthians, you know, kind of shows that I think he's going to have a hard time really selling himself to evangelicals. All
right, let's go ahead and turn then to the other side. And Brent, here's one for you. Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton in the debate. Google Trends showed the top questions for every single candidate. Now, Bernie Sanders was the most Googled Democratic candidate during the debate, maybe an indicator that Americans and the average Americans want to learn more about him. So just to set things up, here's what he had to say about U.S. military spending.
We have a $600 billion military budget. It is a budget larger than the next 8 countries. Unfortunately, much of that budget continues to fight the old Cold War with the Soviet Union. Very little of that budget, less than 10%, actually goes into fighting ISIS and international terrorism.
2 things for you, Brent. First of all, the online poll from Slate, a left-leaning website, which is vulnerable to multiple votes, showed that 83% of the readers say Bernie Sanders won the debate. Everybody else I've read so far, except maybe 1 or 2 stragglers, says he creamed Hillary Clinton in this one. And the #1 question from Google, why is Bernie Sanders so popular? Hey, Brent, has he turned the corner finally?
Oh, I think he's making a very big move. And to put both of your questions, to Bre and I together, as I wrote on The Observer today at observer.com, Bernie beats Trump by 15 points, according to the NBC Wall Street Journal poll that was released yesterday. And I think the reason is he is speaking to the anger and frustrations about the economy and the anxiety in a constructive way. And Bernie will speak at Liberty, but you'll never see Bernie insult disabled people, mock Hispanics, say it's okay for a black to be beaten up at one of his rallies. And I would say that Bernie speaks to the tone, and even to some degree Hillary, a lot more than Donald Trump does. I thought his behavior has been a disgrace. I'm a man for the Pope Francis, and I don't know what kind of faith believes in mocking disabled people and insulting people every hour.
There's something interesting Brent just said in there, because he mentioned the words anger and frustration, and that's what Bernie Sanders speaks to. Wait a minute, Bre. We keep hearing from the same people on the right that Trump speaks to the anger and frustration. So then why do you think it is that the numbers that Brent talked about show that Bernie Sanders would beat Donald Trump so handily? Do people trust Bernie more than Donald?
I don't know about that, but what I do know is that Bernie is more popular among millennial voters than Hillary Clinton by a margin of 2 to 1. And I think the reason that is because, you know, and we saw this during the last Democratic debate, that she really sets herself up as the ultimate kind of insider beltway, you know, insider politician, whereas Bernie Sanders, he really is able to pivot himself and make himself look like an outsider who's really looking out for the small guy, you know? And when you do have the choice between like a robot grandma pantsuit wearing lady and someone who really believes what he says, like Bernie Sanders, I think it makes sense that voters, especially young voters, really are going for Bernie Sanders.
Well, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense here. Brent, you're telling us millennials like Bernie. Bernie's this old guy. Get off my lawn. Looks like he should be sitting in a condo somewhere in Delray Beach, Florida. These are millennial young people who want it. Why? What is it?
Oh, I think he speaks with...
Now, hang on, Bre, 1 second. I'll let you get to that. Brent, 30 seconds to you. Go ahead.
No, I think he speaks with integrity and with passion that people believe he is sincere. And I think he is addressing the anxiety and the economic discontent that people have.
But
and
why do the young voters like him?
Washington, excuse me?
Why do the young voters like him, though, Brent?
Well, because he is the most, I think, the most honest candidate that's out there right now in terms of really addressing the issues in a way that is legitimate, that he documents. There's a populist battle between the left populist and the right populist. And I think Trump and Bernie represent polar positions in this battle of ideas.
Brent,
and to build on what
you're
Bre
right.
said,
You're right on that.
Bernie is popular with young millennial women more than Hillary.
Okay, I only got 30 seconds left here. Bre, everybody says they want to get away from old-style Washington. They want to get these guys who've been out in there for a long time. They want to get them out of there. So why then do the millennials like Bernie?
Well, I mean, he's an old guy, but he's a kooky old guy who's fun, right? So I think if you have to choose between, you know, an old, unconvincing grandmother who likes to wear pantsuits and talks like a robot versus someone who's very, you know, memeable and is fun and is kind of kooky in like a fun way, I think you would definitely choose the kooky fun person over the kooky stiff person.
There you go, the kooky guy who doesn't wear the pantsuits. There you go. All right, Bre. Bre, we know already that you are not a fan of pantsuits. We absolutely get that. I don't think the country is either. Bre Payton, Brent Budowsky, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk soon. All right, speaking of Beltway insiders, one man knows the truth on whether Ted Cruz is really despised by his colleagues. He joins us next to set the matter to rights. We'll head inside the Beltway when the Hardline continues.